Today was a day of good weather, and it was a great opportunity to take the 124 for a drive and get it up on the hoist in a workshop. I've had a long-standing issue with creaking noises coming from the rear end. I'm not 100% sure what it is, so I wanted to have a nice relaxed look underneath without rolling around on the ground. And what better way to do that than on a hoist? The opportunity doesn't come by very often, so when one was presented to me at a professional MB workshop centre, I decided to take up the offer. And this is the first time I've been able to get under my car on a hoist. First thing I noticed, my differential is wet, but the good news is it looks like the oil is coming from the breather on the top of the differential. This is probably somewhat related to my newly found power since fixing the injection system and driving the car in a more spirited manner. I'm not going to complain about that. It'll probably clean up with a bit of degreaser. Now this is the side where the noise is coming from. I can't see anything obvious. What we were planning to do today is lubricate the sway bar bushings, because these are the only parts that are original, along with the sway bar links. Everything else has been replaced with new, front and rear. And I took the opportunity to also look for oil leaks. My transmission was slightly wet, not overly concerned about it. It still looks pretty good. Bearing in mind, it's been installed for about 4 years, so it's not that soon since I had it out before. My kickdown solenoid is leaking, but that's just a couple of seals. Nothing exciting to see here. At least it's all pretty clean. The output from my transmission looks dry. That's a good thing. I was aware that my rear main seal on the engine was leaking, and that's probably the one thing that's going to get me to install a hoist at my house, because I really don't want to drop a transmission lying on my back ever again. I'm getting too old for this shit, and this is just way more luxurious. And you can see there's a bit of transmission fluid leaking there. I'm not sure where that's coming from. It could be from one of the side covers, but it's a very minor leak. It doesn't leave anything on the ground, so really, I don't care. I can live with that. One thing of interest is the oil pressure sender was slightly wet, so that's something else I will have to replace at some stage. Not that there's a very good view in here, but I am aware that the oil drain plug is leaking. Probably just need to get a new seal ring on that. And there is a bit of wetness around the oil level sender. I'm not sure if it's the sensor itself or just the O-ring, but I don't care. It's really minor, so it's not urgent. I think it's pretty good as far as a 124 is concerned. This car is 30 years old, and to have this few leaks, I'm quite pleased. So let's get started on lubricating those sway bar bushings. I don't think they've ever been removed before. They still had the factory Loctite on the bolts, and as you can see, these are as dry as hell. There's no traces of lubrication left on there at all.
Looks nice and clean and tidy and slipped around there nicely.
And that's what the bushing looked like on the inside.
Is where I've just wiped.
Absolutely dry as hell. And what we applied is rubber grease, just as a bit of a test to see if my creaking noise went away.
And maybe we'll just do around the outside of the bracket too.
Before reinstalling this bushing, we did use a bit of brake cleaner on the actual sway bar to get rid of all of the gunk that had accumulated over the past 30 years. And then it was time to reinstall. Now, unfortunately, that wasn't the cause of the problem. So I'm thinking it could be these sway bar links, or those god-awful joints at the bottom of the lower control arm. Now, I hope it's not those because they're brand new. And if they're already faulty, I will be severely pissed off, because that's not exactly an easy thing to change. So first thing I will test is these new sway bar links. They are original, so it's not harming anything to change them. And now let's have a look at the 300 wagon. The complaint with this one is an exhaust leak, and in real time, this is how hard it was to find. Oddly enough, that rust hole is in the top side. Personally, I've never seen anything like that before. Should be able to be salvaged with a bit of a patch. The rear muffler isn't the best, but it's still got some life left in it, and they are quite expensive in Australia, so a patch will do for now. And just a quick look at the rest of the underside of this wagon. The leaks it has are pretty much identical to my car, so they're obviously very common on 124s. And this is a daily driven car, puts mine to shame. I basically never drive mine, so it's obviously doing better than mine. And interestingly, its oil pressure sender is also leaking. Now this is a metal plate underneath the engine. I wish I could find something like that for my car. They're pretty rare in Australia anyway, so that's good protection for the engine. Once upon a time, no doubt these pre-catalytic converters used to work. I doubt they do anymore, and they run so damn hot that they've burnt all of the protective coating off the underside of the chassis there and caused a bit of rust to start. So that's something to bear in mind on your M103 powered vehicles.